Did you know that the stock Ender 3 fans produce as much noise as a car going 60 miles per hour? What if I told you that we could change that to be as quiet as a whisper? Well, today we're going to find out if we can using some aftermarket fans. How's it going, guys? I'm Kelby. Today we're going to be seeing just how quiet we can make my Ender 3 V2 using just 5 simple steps. If you're like me, you're getting really tired of your Ender 3 making a ton of noise in your office or bedroom. This can be very annoying if you're trying to sleep, work, or make a phone call. So today we're going to be installing some Noctua fans to see if we can finally end the horrible scream of the Ender 3 fans. And make sure to stick around to the end because I will be sharing my top 3 tips on how to take your 3D prints to the next level. The first step to this upgrade is printing the covers for your motherboard, hot end, and power supply. You will want to print these before you start disassembling your printer, or you're gonna have a really bad time putting it back together. I am using PLA for this, but you can use other materials such as PETG or ABS. The link to the Thingiverse files will be in the description of this video. Once you get all of those printed, it's time to go to the next step. Now, you may be asking me, how do I know which fans to get? There are a lot of options on Amazon, and it's hard to tell which ones you actually need. 20mm, FLM, 60mm, PW, 40mm, ULN. You will need 2 Noctua A8s as well as 2 of the smaller A4s. And I will have the link to those in the description of this video. Using the links that I provide in the description really help out the channel, and it doesn't cost you any extra. As you can see, I only have 3 out of the 4 fans, and you may be wondering why that is. Well, last week I had my stock PSU fan completely go out, and I had to use what was laying around, and all I had was a 120mm PC fan. But I will still explain how to install that fan later on in the video. But fans are not the only thing you will need for this upgrade. 3 out of the 4 fans that come on the Ender 3 run at 24 volts. Now, the Noctua silent fans that we will be installing run at 12 volts. Now, if you tried to put them in without changing the voltage, it would not turn out well. While I doubt it would be that catastrophic, it is still in your best interest to go ahead and get some step-down buck converters. This will ensure that your fans are not getting too much power and increase the longevity and reliability of them. There are 3 main things that you will need to disassemble for this process: the motherboard, the hot end, and the power supply. We are going to start out with the hot end. But first, we want to turn the machine off, unplug it, and then turn it back on to make sure that we have all of the power out of the system. Next, unscrew the 2 bolts holding up the hot end assembly. Wiggle the cover until it's free. Then undo the 2 screws holding the hot end fan in, and the 3 screws holding the part cooling fan in. Now, screw our new fans into the previously printed cover. Once that is done, you will need to gain access to the yellow, blue, red, and black wires. These are the wires connecting your part cooling fan and your hot end fan. Go ahead and cut the wires, but make sure you leave extra room if you're planning on reusing the stock fans. Get the adapters that come with the Noctua fans that have the red and black wires coming out, and grab the Omnijoin adapters that come with them. The yellow wire is the power wire, so that will be going to the red, and the blue wire is the ground, so that will be going to the black. Insert the wires all the way in and squeeze it with some pliers until it pops. Now that that is done, we can reassemble the hot end assembly with our new parts. Fit the support into the assembly, then use the provided rubber mounting things to attach the first fan to the central part and the other fan to the duct. Then cut off the excess rubber. Lastly, screw in the assembly with the 2 screws located here and here. Now we have the fans installed, but they are still getting 24 volts and they are 12 volt fans. To fix this, we are going to be moving to the bottom of the printer. But before we do, there are 2 screws on the top of the motherboard that you will need to unscrew first. Once those are out, carefully lay the printer down on its side and locate the 3 screws holding the motherboard in place. Remove the screws, pull back the sleeving, and find the yellow, blue, red, and black wires going to the fans we just installed. Cut the wires, leaving enough room on each end to attach the 2 buck converters. Make sure to orient these in the right direction. The wires coming out of the motherboard go into the voltage inside, and the wires from the fans go into the voltage outside. Insert the wires into the buck converter and screw them down. Do this for both the red and black and the yellow and blue. Remember that the yellow wire is positive and the blue one is ground. Once this is done, you can mount the buck converters to the holders that you previously printed. And now we have finished the hot end assembly. If you have made it this far into the video, make sure to drop a like. It does really help me out with starting this YouTube channel. And if you enjoy this content so far, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on a new video. Now it's time to move on to step 4. We are moving on to the motherboard fan. Since we already have the motherboard covers off, find the red and black wires connected to the motherboard fan and cut them. Then grab your new fan and attach the extension that comes with it and cut it off near the end. Using the extension is smart if you don't want to cut into your new fan's wires. Next, wire in the buck converter the same way we did with the hot end. Once it's wired in, attach the fan to the printed motherboard cover using the fan screws that it comes with. You can decide where to mount the buck converter, but I'm choosing to put it in the motherboard cover with the fan. I cut a little notch out of the buck converter holder to make it fit. Then I used a little bit of super glue to secure it. Now it's time for the power supply fan. As you can see, I've done questionable modding to mine after the stock fan went out after about a month of use, but I will still walk you through the process of how to install it. This fan already runs at 12 volts, so it's pretty much as simple as grabbing the 3-pin to 2-pin connector and then just replacing the old fan. To get into the power supply fan, there will be 3 screws on the top of the printer above the power supply. Then flip the printer on its side like we did with a motherboard. Take out the remaining bolts holding the power supply in, then find the 2-pin fan header located on the power supply. Disconnect it and get your new fan with a 3-pin to 2-pin conversion on it. Once this is done, attach the fan to the power supply and then the power supply to the cover using the 4 screws that came with the fan. I'll be skipping over this part for obvious reasons, but it's pretty much the same process as the motherboard. Now that you have everything connected, power the printer on and check the buck converters to make sure they are at 12 volts. If they are under or over, adjust them using the small screw located right here. Once you have made sure everything is set to 12 volts, go ahead and power it back off, unplug it, and then tidy everything up. I used 3M tape to mount the buck converters to the bottom of the printer. Then I zip tied the excess wire and just tucked it underneath the printer. After that, you are completely done with the installation and you should be ready to start printing. The stock fans produce about 60 decibels of noise, while the Noctua fan mod got down to about 35 decibels. That's almost a 50% decrease in the noise that it is producing while it's printing. After I did this mod, I did realize that you can't really adjust the fan speed on the Noctua fans, so it's really either all or nothing when it comes to fan speed. It'll be in your best interest to go into your slicer settings and then either make the fans all the way off or all the way on so you don't get an annoying clicking sound coming from the buck converters. This isn't really an issue for me since I really only print with full speed fan except for the first layer where I turn it off. If you have a BL or a CR Touch, do not be like me and make sure you set the Z offset before you start a print. I ended up scratching my bed pretty bad, but good thing beds are cheap. Remember earlier in the video when I said, and make sure to stick around to the end because I will be sharing my top 3 tips on how to take your 3D prints to the next level. Well, you made it to that part of the video. Tip number 1, get some heated inserts as well as some nuts. This will allow you to make strong joints without using any glue. Tip number 2, print with a 3 or 4 wall line count instead of just 2. This will make your finished surface smoother, stronger, and it'll also help with unsupported overhangs to save some material. Tip number 3, get a CR Touch. This will ensure you get a perfect first layer every time. And for only $40, it is a worthwhile investment, and in the long run, it'll actually save you money by saving you the wasted material of a failed print. If you stuck around to the end of the video and want to do this upgrade for yourself, I will have links to everything that I used in this video as well as my Amazon storefront where you can shop everything that I use for day-to-day 3D printing and filmmaking. If you are doing this upgrade, using the links I have in my description will really help me out, and it'll ensure that you are getting the right fans for the upgrade. It also allows for the channel to produce more 3D printing and tech-related content. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you liked this video or if it helped you along with the installation process.